So itutuloy lang po natin ang ating series na pinag-aaralan. Kung maalala niyo po, tayo po ay nagkakaroon ng book study patungkol po sa book ng isang pastor, si Pastor Conley Owens, na isang Reformed Baptist din po sa Amerika. At ang book po na ito ay The Dorean Principle. Ang ibig sabihin po ng Dorean Principle, freely given, freely received, freely given. So ganun po yung principle na yon. Ito po ay pumapatungkol, lalong-lalo na po sa mga first-timer na narinig yung term, ito po ay pumapatungkol how we support the ministry financially. Ito po yung pinag-uusapan. Paano natin tinitingnan yung ating pagkakaloob o yung ating pagsuporta sa ministeryo kapag pinag-usapan yung financial na aspeto. At tayo po ay nasa chapter 5 na ng book na ito, at ang title po ng chapter 5 ay The Prerogative of Servanthood. Ang pag-aaralan po natin dito particularly is yung passage from 1 Corinthians 9, kung saan ipinapakita dito ni Apostle Paul na dininay niya yung kanyang right na tumanggap. At titingnan natin ano ba yung meaning nung right na yon dito po sa ating lesson. At hahatiin po natin sa dalawang part. So ngayon po ay titingnan po muna natin, hinati ko po para hindi po masyadong mahaba. Ito po ay part 1 and then next week tutuloy po natin yung part 2. So tayo po muna ay pumunta doon sa pangunahing teksto na ating pag-aaralan. Buksan niyo po ang inyo pong mga Biblia sa 1 Corinthians 9. Pwede po bang makibasa kung sino po ang unang makakita? 1 Corinthians 9:12 to 19.
Verse 12, if others share this rightful claim on you, do not we even more? Nevertheless, we have not made use of this right, but we endure anything rather than put an obstacle in the way of the gospel of Christ. Do you not know that those who are employed in the temple service get their food from the temple, and those who serve at the altar share in their sacrificial offerings? In the same way, the Lord commanded that those who proclaim the gospel should get their living by the gospel. But I have made no use of any of these rights, nor I am writing these things to secure any such provision. For I would rather die than have anyone deprive me of my ground for boasting. For if I preach the gospel, that gives me no ground for boasting, for necessity is laid upon me. Woe to me if I do not preach the gospel. For if I do not do this of my own will, I have a reward. But if not my own will, I am still entrusted with a stewardship. What then is my reward? That in my preaching I may present the gospel free of charge, so as not to make full use of my right in the gospel. For though I am free from all, I have made myself a servant to all, that I might win more of them.
So, yun po. Salamat dun po sa pagbabasa ng salita ng Diyos. Makikita po natin doon sa binasa ni Brother Andre, yung 1 Corinthians 1:9, yung context po niyan ay patungkol po sa pag-deny ng support ni Apostle Paul. At ito po yung isa sa makikita natin na most intense defense of his refusal to accept payment na makikita po natin po dito sa Corinthians. Diba, sa mga previous lessons na po, tiningnan po natin na may mga part sa Corinth na sa Corinthian church na dinideny talaga ni Apostle Paul yung pagtanggap ng support from the Corinthian church. At dito, ito po yung isa sa pinakamahaba and intense na explanation niya bakit dinideny niya yung kanyang pagtanggap ng support sa patungkol po sa financial support. He represents his decision in the context of Christian liberty and his right to receive support. And then yun po yung sinabi sa verse 12, if others share this rightful claim on you, do not we even more? Nevertheless, we have not made use of this right, but we endure anything rather than put an obstacle in the way of the gospel. So makikita natin dito yung denial, yung refusal ng pagtanggap ni Apostle Paul ng financial support from the Corinthian church. May nag-i-interpret po ng passage na ito, according sa iba po, yung daw pong refusal ni Apostle Paul to accept payment for preaching reflects a personal choice. Ito yung isang interpretation na ito daw po ay choice lamang ni Apostle Paul, personal choice, suggesting he had a permissible right to take support but opted to reject it for noble reasons. So ang sinasabi ng iba, may right talaga si Apostle Paul doon sa idea ng direct transaction or reciprocity, dahil yun naman talagang sinasabi, hindi niya dinideny niya yung right na yun, pero logically speaking, meron siyang right. And therefore, according dun sa interpretation na yon, personal choice ni Apostle Paul na tanggihan yung inaalok na reciprocity na support ng Corinthian church. Pero sabi ni Conley Owens, this may challenge na ito pong interpretation na ito ay pwede nating i-challenge by two key points. First, sabi ni Owens, the concept of supererogation, ibig sabihin, nilalampasan mo yung principle ng Diyos, where one exceeds God's requirements, contradicts biblical teaching. Scriptures calls for perfection. Ayan yung sinabi na gayahin natin yung ating Father in heaven na perfect, and dismisses the idea of exceeding one's duty. Hindi pwedeng, ang sinasabi dito ni Conley Owens, hindi pwedeng yung pagsunod ng isang believer ay mas higit pa doon sa iniuutos ng Diyos. So dapat ay eksakto, perfect yung pagsunod, hindi labis. May mga principle po na pwede nating makuha dito. Halimbawa, yung forgiveness, yung in-excom na nung church, pero ikaw, todo pa rin yung pag-extend mo na pwede pa rin mag-Lord's Supper yan, or pwede pa rin tanggapin sa ibang church. So yun yung isang specific example na mas hinihigitan natin yung mga utos or requirement ng Diyos. So sabi ni Conley Owens, yung daw dinideny lang ni Paul yung kanya, mayroon lang siyang personal choice, is parang hinihigitan niya kung ano yung iniuutos ng Diyos. So Jesus clarifies in Luke 17 verse 10 that servants of God, even when fully obedient, can only claim to have done their duty and no more. So, yung lahat ng ginagawa daw, sabi ni Jesus, is hindi siya nag-e-exceed. Hindi siya hindi siya mas nagiging gracious sa Panginoon or mas higit yung kanyang obedience kesa doon sa commandment ng Panginoon. Sabi ni Owens, thus, Paul's decision cannot simply be viewed as an above and beyond act. It aligns with his duty. So, yun yung pwedeng principle na makuha muna natin. I-clarify natin yung text na yan. Pero yung point ni Owens, na yung refusal ni Apostle Paul sa pagtanggap ng financial support from the Corinthian church ay rooted pa rin, hindi sa kanyang personal choice, kundi rooted pa rin sa kanyang principle. Second, the broader context of 1 Corinthians 9 shows that Paul's financial policy illustrates a principle tied to idolatry. Remember the previous chapters, 8 and 10, and yung sunod na chapter, pumapatungkol po yan sa idolatry. So he acknowledges the Corinthians' right to food. So may right naman talaga yung Corinthian, yung mga believer na kumain ng pagkain, but warns against actions that are lawful but not helpful, such as eating food sacrificed to idols. So may right tayo mga believer na kumain ng pagkain, pero hindi nararapat na kumain tayo nung mga pagkain sacrifice to idol. So this parallels his teaching on sexual immorality in 1 Corinthians 6. While mayroon pong lawful actions, sexual relationship, ito ay magiging sinful if misused. So yun yung mga parallelism na yung isang mind niya, na iisa lang yung mind ni Apostle Paul, yung flow of thought niya ay iisa lamang pagdating po sa kanyang letter. Similarly, though Paul may have the right to receive financial support, at ililinawin ano ba yung right na yon, he could still be guilty of improper use if taking it led to spiritual harm or compromise his ministry. So, malinaw po doon sa next natin na sabi doon niya sa verse 18, "What then is my reward?" So, yung parang pinapakita dito ni Apostle Paul na kung tatanggap siya noong reciprocal na support from the Corinthian church, mawawala na yung reward. Rhetorical yung question. What then is my reward? Kung tatanggapin niya yung bayad na yon. Sabi ni Paul, that in my preaching, I may present the gospel free of charge, so as not to make full use of my right in the gospel. So yun yung principle na pinapakita dito ni Apostle Paul, na kapag tumanggap siya ng bayad in the context of reciprocity, yung pagtutumba sa ministry, paglalagay ng value doon sa ministry, ang sinasabi ni Apostle Paul is mawawala yung kanyang reward. Sabi ni Conley Owens, in other words, when Paul uses the word right, he does not indicate a permissive license or legal carte blanche that justifies any course of action. Rather, he denotes an authority of servanthood that grants the actor freedom to serve the Lord as the Lord requires. In other words, he speaks of a stewardship. Ang sinasabi dito ni Conley Owens, ang tinuturo dito ni Apostle Paul, hindi siya nag-a-act as free agent. Di ba yung mga free agent na mga consultant na walang under sa kanila? So pag kayo magko-consult sa kanila, either sa business, so may direct kayong pagbabayad doon sa mga free agent na yon or mga consultant na yon. Yun yung sinasabi ni Apostle Paul, hindi siya nag-a-act as individual or free agent. The principle of stewardship is illustrated through Adam and the Corinthians. Diba? Adam was given authority over the entire Garden of Eden, including the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Diba? Yung authority ni Adam is pangunahan yung Garden of Eden. In fact, may utos doon na pwedeng kainin ang lahat ng mga bunga ng punong kahoy except yung tree of the knowledge of good and evil. His stewardship did not grant him the right to eat from the tree without incurring a penalty. So, may right siya doon sa lahat, pero yung right na yon ay hindi po nagpapakita na may right din siya na kainin yung pinagbabawal na prutas. Similarly, the Corinthians had stewardship over their bodies and the right to eat food, but they would abuse this stewardship by consuming food sacrificed to demons. May right din siya sa kanilang sariling body na magkaroon ng sexual relations. pero yung adultery ay hindi yun yung tinuturo ng right na yon. And then yung food, may right din silang kumain ng pagkain, pero hindi rin ito limited ito na hindi nila kakainin yung mga food sacrifice to idols. So ang point natin, as a servant of God, Paul has stewardship over his converts to receive money from them, but would abuse that stewardship by receiving payment for a gospel that is not his to sell. So, as a servant of God, so may stewardship, so may right naman siya na tumanggap ng pera. At mamaya, ano ba yung proper na pagtanggap ng pera? Yun yung titingnan natin mamaya. Pero dito muna, titingnan natin na hindi niya pagtanggap doon is yung idea nga ng reciprocity na kanyang ibinebenta yung ebanghelyo. Kaya sinabi ni Paul, yung verse 18, mabigat po yun, that in my preaching I may present the gospel free of charge. Ang mabigat po na point dito ni Apostle Paul is yung boasting. Yung refusal niya sa reciprocal support ay doon, ang root po nito ay yung kanyang saan ba siya nagmamalaki o ano ba yung dapat niyang ipagmalaki o ipagyabang. So dito po sa second subpoint, the boast of servanthood. Minasa po natin kanina sa 1 Corinthians 9:15 to 19, Paul lists several reasons for rejecting Corinthian funds, beginning with his desire to maintain ground for boasting. Saan ba siya nagmamalaki? Ano ba yung kanyang pinagmamalaki? Basahin ko po yung verse 15. But I have made no use of these rights, nor am I writing these things to secure any such provision. For I would rather die than have anyone deprive me of my ground for boasting. So yung pagtanggi niya doon sa financial support na ibinibigay ng Corinthian church ay dahil daw doon sa ground for his boasting. So marami na pong mga texts, 'di ba? Malinaw na yung napakatalino ni Apostle Paul dito sa Corinthians dahil isa yung kanyang thought process. Dahil introduction pa lang sa 1 Corinthians 1, sinabi niya doon na pinili ng Diyos ang mga mahihina upang ang kanilang maipagyabang ay ang kalakasan ng Diyos. So Paul's message of boasting in the Lord is central to his epistles. He stresses that if anyone is to boast, it should be in the Lord. So ang kanilang ipinagmamalaki ay hindi yung value ng kanilang pangangaral, hindi yung value ng pagiging apostle niya. Diba, yun na yung in-introduction niya dun sa 1 Corinthians 1, na yung iba, nilalagyan nila ng value. Yung iba ay kay Apollos, yung kay Cephas, at yung iba naman mas mataas kay Kristo. So yun ay napakagandang principle na pinapakita ni Apostle Paul na hindi doon yung kanyang boasting sa value ng kanilang ginagawa. His boasting in the Lord is secure because it is founded in an unchanging God. So, gaya ng pinangaral kanina, may mga minister na ang kanilang boasting is sa laki ng kanilang ministeryo, kung gaano sila kakilala, kung gaano kalaki yung kanilang tinatanggap na financial support or bahay. Pero yung principle na pinapakita dito ni Apostle Paul, kung babalikan niyo po yung pinangaral sa atin ni Pastor Ellis sa 2 Corinthians 3. Kaya nasabi ko po na iisa yung thought process dito ni Apostle Paul, di ba? Sa 2 Corinthians 3, patungkol sa ministers of the New Covenant, kinumpare ni Apostle Paul yung glory ng Old Covenant sa glory ng New Covenant. At ang ginawa ni Apostle Paul, niroot niya na kung ano yung glory na mayroon sa Old Covenant, greater yung glory ng New Covenant. And therefore, yung mga ministers of the New Covenant are greater than Moses, not because dahil mas godlier sila or mas matalino sila. Yung kanilang pagiging greater is dahil greater yung New covenant. Yung boasting nila ay nasa Panginoong Jesucristo. Kaya sabi ni Apostle Paul, Paul acknowledges that accepting money for his ministry could jeopardize this boasting. Pinakita niyo po yan sa 2 Corinthians 11, 7-10. Yun po yung problem kapag yung direct transaction between the pastor and the church, kapag ang idea natin is reciprocity, walang nawawala yun yung sinasabi ni Paul, nawawala yung ground for boasting. Ang magiging boast natin, laki nung natatanggap kong support sa church. Ako ay fully support ng church. Malaki yung binibigay nila sa aking salary. Nandoon yung boasting. While Paul's boasting in the Lord is rooted in his ministry, any changes to his financial practices could impact the integrity of that boast. Sabi ni Conley Owens, if Paul receives direct payment from the Corinthians in exchange for his ministry, he receives honor over God as the source of the gospel. This would make his own work his grounds for boasting rather than the Lord's work. If instead he rejects payment in return for the gospel, the apostle acknowledges that its source lies outside of himself. Reciprocity compromises Paul's earnest boast in the Lord by placing his boast in himself. So, ang sinasabi dito ni Conley Owens, na I believe yun yung point ni Apostle Paul sa refusal niya, kapag siya ay tumanggap ng direct payment from the Corinthian church, ibig sabihin, yun yung kanyang sariling strength ang binabayaran ng taga-Corinto. Pinapantayan ng Corinthian church yung labor ni Apostle Paul. Kaya yung rhetorical question ni Apostle Paul, what then is my reward? Kung tatanggapin niya yung equal payment, ang ibig sabihin ko po doon is yung pagtutumbas na bayad doon sa ministeryo, paglalagay ng value, financial value doon sa ministry. And then thirdly, the obligation of servanthood. Paul additionally explains that he does not accept funding from the Corinthians because he is bound to minister to them. Yun yung isang point ni Paul. Kaya hindi niya tinatanggap yung support kasi hindi ito transaction between employee and employer, kundi ang relationship ni Paul sa Corinthian church ay minister siya. Yun yung sabi niya sa verse 16. For if I preach the gospel, that gives me no ground for boasting, for necessity is laid upon me. Woe to me if I do not preach the gospel. Paul describes himself as a steward of the mysteries of God and a servant of Christ. He does not seek special recognition for preaching the gospel. However, if he were to act as an independent agent, kung siya ay mag-a-act na hindi siya co-laborer, kundi independent agent, yun yung pinakita ko kanina doon sa mga consultant na hindi under ng isang company, pre-agent siya, individual, following his own will rather than God's. It would be logical for him to receive a reward in the form of direct payment from others. So kung siya ay free agent, individual, hindi siya under, ang idea ay reciprocity, so may direct transaction yung Corinthian church kay Apostle Paul. Di ba yung nagamit na natin ng illustration ni Apostle Paul din, yung royal soldier ng isang bansa. Hindi siya pwedeng tumanggap ng compensation sa individual people or sa isang mayaman na family. Mako-compromise yung kanyang trabaho bilang soldier dahil siya ay under nung king. Ang magpapasweldo sa kanya ay hindi yung mamamayan, kundi ang magpapasweldo sa kanya under dun sa government hindi direct yung while nagtatax, of course nagtatax yung mga mamamayan, pero hindi direct yung obligation ng mamamayan doon sa soldier. Kundi ito ay mediated ng government. Magtatax sila doon sa government, and then yung government yung magpapasweldo doon sa mga soldier. So sa ganung idea, it is similarly inappropriate for Paul to accept direct payment from the Corinthians for his ministry. A soldier commissioned by the king should not accept compensation from the people, as it would undermine his role and potentially lead to extortion or bribery. Kaya nga po, sa government, bawal tumanggap ng mga padulas. Considered corruption na po yan. While nagiging normal yun minsan sa isang government institution, pero hindi po yun maaari na tumanggap para mapadali yung proseso ng isang pinaprocess. Halimbawa, document or sa bangko mayroong inheritance para mapabilis ay may under the table na bayad. Hindi pwedeng mangyari yun. Yun ay bribery. So, yun yung idea dito ni Apostle Paul, na kapag tumanggap siya ng direct payment na wala doon sa konteksto ng co-labor, bribery yun, corruption yun. Kaya, as one commissioned by God, Paul cannot accept direct compensation for his ministry, as it would suggest a lack of genuine stewardship. However, hindi po natin dinuturo na hindi dapat suportahan yung mga minister. Hindi po yun ang tinuturo ng Dorean Principle. I hope na-establish natin na responsibility po ng church to support the pastors and the ministers. Pero hindi po ito nasa konteksto ng reciprocity, but through the concept of co-labor. He can accept funds that do not interfere with his primary role as a servant of God. So, ang point po natin, this form of collaboration where resources are pulled together for mutual service to the Lord does not undermine his status as a servant, but rather supports the idea that servants of the same master assist each other for the benefit of their shared mission. So, yung pagtanggap po ng support, ito yung establish natin sa mga previous lessons, is dapat nasa konteksto ng mediated support or mediated idea ng provision ng Panginoon, na hindi tayo direct ang nagbibigay ng blessing sa pastor. Yun yung triangle principle, di ba? Yung giving natin is not primarily to support our church, to support our ministers, but primarily yung giving ng Philippian Church, sabi doon, naging mabangong samyo, sacrifice to the Lord. So yun ay pagsamba. Hindi naman natin sinasamba yung mga pastor, of course. Pero tinawag ni Apostle Paul, and then yung sa Romans 15, na tinanggap na yun ay liturgeo, yung service ng mga Jew, ng Gentile sa Jew. They owe to him, them. Diba? Ginamit na yung service na yun na liturgia. Ibig sabihin, worship. So, yung giving natin, primarily, ay hindi talaga, kaya walang place yung reciprocity kung ganun yung understanding natin sa giving. Ito ay worship natin sa Panginoon. Now, lastly, the reward of servanthood. In the next two verses, binasa rin po, Paul explains that he conducts his ministry as he does in order to receive a reward. Sabi niya sa 17 to 18, "For if I do this on my own will, I have a reward. But if not of my own will, I am still entrusted with the stewardship. What then is my reward? That in my preaching I may present the gospel free of charge, so as not to make full use of my right in the gospel." So Paul's activity and reward are essentially the same. Ang ganda po ng sinasabi dito ni Apostle Paul. Yung reward ng mga minister ay hindi kung magkano yung matatanggap nila, kung ano yung comfort na marireceive nila from the ministry. Yung ministry itself is their reward. Yun yung sinasabi ni Apostle Paul. Na siya ay, siya yung least of all. Siya ay sinner, justified by God. And yet, ginamit siya ng Panginoon to proclaim the gospel free of charge. So ang makasalanan na ginustify ng Panginoon ay isang dakilang bagay na. Pero kung isali ka pa sa pangangaral ng Ebanghelyo, greater reward yon. Kaya ang sinasabi dito ni Apostle Paul, hindi yung comfort ng ministry, hindi yung ibibigay ng Korinto yung reward, kundi the ministry itself is the reward of a faithful minister. So, the key point is not that Paul earns merit by refusing money, but that by doing so, he experiences the reward itself, the stewardship he carries out with Christ working through him. So nawa sa mga co-laborers ko, lalong-lalo na po sa konteksto ng gospel preaching, nawa lagi nating ilagay dito na yung reward ay hindi kung may matatanggap ka ba, kundi the fact na naiproclaim mo yung gospel free of charge, yung sinasabi ni Apostle Paul, yun na yung greater reward ng isang minister. At nakikita niya na yung mga pinapangaralan niya ay nagpo-progress sa kanilang sanctification. Yun yung greater reward ng isang minister. In the context of boasting, binasa natin kanina, Paul's boasting and his reward are intertwined, referring to the same reality. Kaya ang sinasabi ni Apostle Paul, kung tatanggap ako ng reciprocal payment, mawawala na yung reward na yun. Dinidiminish noon yung reward itself, yung mismong pangangaral or pagmi-minister. If Paul were receive payment for his ministry, his reward would be the payment itself, and he would act as a voluntary laborer, setting his own fees. So, siya ay nag-a-act as free agent. Yun yung kanina-kaninang illustration. Consultant na hindi under ng isang company. So, siya ay maglalagay ng fee. Ito yung sweldo ko. Ito yung bayad mo sa akin sa consultation. So, nag-a-act siya as free agent instead of being a servant of God. This would mean he no longer functions as a servant bound by his master. By accepting financial reward, Paul would forfeit the greater reward of godly stewardship. So kapag ang isang ministro, ang isang minister, ang kanyang idea ay equation, na ito yung aking labor, so bayaran nyo ako. Ito yung dami ng mga ginagawa ko, dapat tumbasan nyo yung dami ng ginagawa ko. Ang principle na tinuturo dito ni Paul, yun na yung mismong nagiging reward niya, yung pera. Hindi na siya, nire-refuse niya yung pagiging servant ng Panginoon. Lastly, yung point ni Owens, the one who receives reciprocity does not operate as a sincere servant of Christ, but as a free agent after his own reward. On the other hand, the one who receives co-labor enjoys financial benefits within the auspices of stewardship, a greater reward than mere money. Ang ganda po ng sinasabi ni Conley Owens, kapag daw ang isang ministry, ang idea niya ay reciprocity, yun na yung mismong reward niya. At nawawala na yung boasting niya sa Panginoon. Pero kapag ito ay nasa konteksto ng mediated blessing, co-labor, yun yung sinabi ni Apostle Paul sa Philippian Church, not that I seek the gift, Pero anong sabi doon? The fruit that will credit in your account. Ibig sabihin, kapag nakikita mo, tumatanggap ang isang ministro, in the context of co-labor, yung giving na yon nung mga member ng church, yun ay bunga ng gospel. So lalong may enjoy ng minister na yung reward niya ay nasa konteksto pa rin ng gospel ministry dahil yun ay co-labor, hindi direct na pasweldo ng church, kundi nakikita yun talaga yung point ni Paul doon, na hindi ko hinahanap yung sweldo ko or yung gift or yung reward, pero yung bunga ng gospel sa inyo. Nakikita ko ba yung bunga ng gospel sa inyo? And then doon din sa same chapter na yon, na yung kanilang giving ay pinakita na mabangong samyo. Sacrifice to the Lord. Pinakita doon ni Apostle Paul. So hanggang doon na lamang po muna ang ating lesson. Meron po ba kayong clarification, questions, meditation? Pwede nyo pong 2 or 3 po na questions before po tayo mag-lunch. Sige po, Sister Leia.
Brother Esek, maliban na di ba ang dami mga nagba-Bible school ngayon? Maliban na isa sa mga magiging motivation nila, kaya sila magba-Bible school is, ayun nga, mag-pursue din ng vocation. Kasi di ba tayo, gagraduate tayo ng high school, papuntang college. So, di ba, yung college is, sabi nila, is preparation yan din to work, for work. So, paano naman yung mga magpo-proceed doon sa pagpapastor na gusto naman talaga nila, may puso sila sa pagsuserve. Kaya lang, maliban na part ng motivation din nila is gawin din itong magiging vocation nila.
Mali yung career-oriented na idea. And that's the problem of modern seminary. Kilala dahil yung pangalan, yung tuition fee, ganun kalaki, and therefore, dapat maibalik sa akin kung ano yung tuition ko. So, that's the problem of modern seminary. Yung instead na magturo ng ministry-oriented, Christ-centered oriented yung ministry, pero dahil sa ganong idea ng mga modern seminary, yung malaki, kilala yung pangalan, malaki yung tuition fee. So, yun ay nagmo-mold ng pagiging career-oriented ng mga gustong magpastor. Dahil nga gusto nilang mabawi kung ano yung nagastos nila doon na tuition fee. And ang root ng problem doon, dahil yung mga seminary ay nag-a-act na hindi na co-laborer ng church, kundi separate institution. In fact, may mga seminary na nag-a-act na mas mataas pa sa church. So yun yung problem sa mga modern seminary. Yung biblical understanding natin sa mga seminary, dapat siya ay agent lamang ng church, under siya ng ministry ng church. Kaya even yung seminary, dapat ay free of charge. Ang magpapand noon, either isang mayaman na church or multiple churches or association. So yung ganun yung understanding ko sa seminary. Yes, dun sa question na kapag career-oriented, yung kasi financial na yung nakatingin dun na kailangan ko mabawi ito, kailangan ko mag-aral, and therefore magkakaroon ako ng trabaho. Pero hindi naman mali kung gusto maging teacher halimbawa sa isang Christian school or kahit sa isang secular na school, hindi naman mali yon kung ganun ang kanyang trajectory, hindi yun problema. Ang mali kapag ministerial na ginagawa niyang parang career. Si Pastor Ellie.
Thank you, Brother Ezek, sa pagtuturo, no. I'm thinking lang, pag in-extend lang siya sa government, halimbawa sa isang theonomic na society, I'm recalling to mind Romans chapter 9, na yung government ay ministers din ng Panginoon.
13, Romans 13.
13, sorry pala. 9 pala is election. So Romans 13, yung ministers ay parehong mga pastors and then yung mga government officials. So parang nakikita mo ba na possible if in a theonomic society, itong Dorian principle should also be taught sa mga government officials para makita nila na hindi sila nagsaserve din for their own gain, para sa sarili nila, but they're ultimately under Christ, and then nasa sphere sila ng ika nga scepter and then key yung church, no? So would you say na dapat talaga ito rin ay maituro maski sa mga government
Yes,
officials?
Pas. Kaya yun yung root nung yung bribery. Dahil nga hindi malinaw na yung Dorean principle. I believe yung Dorean principle is applicable sa lahat ng sphere of life. Hindi lang siya limited sa money, kundi yung motivation natin to serve. Even sa husband and wife, applicable siya na kahit nag-aaway kayo pero nagse-serve ka not directly to your wife. Kaya mo minamahal yung wife mo dahil unang minahal ka ni Kristo at minamahal mo rin si Kristo. And therefore, yun yung magmo-mold sa'yo paano mamamahalin yung wife mo. I believe yung while specifically pinag-aaralan natin ito sa pag-support sa ating mga ministries, napakaganda ng mediated blessing. And yes, Pas, agree ako doon na maganda rin na kapag naging theonomic in the madaming panahon, malayong panahon na magiging theonomic yung state is yes, I believe na magandang principle yun na maituro na hindi sila nagseserve directly doon sa mga tao, hindi sila indebted doon sa mga tao, kundi yung service nila directly sa Panginoon.
Follow up lang, Brother Essex. Pero presently, no, pwede ito yung maging kaisipan ng mga, kasi may mga government workers tayo sa ating iglesia. So maganda na ito yung maging mindset nila na hindi lang ito para sa mga pastors, hindi lang ito dun sa mga workers sa church. This principle also applies to them kasi sa Romans 13 ang sabi, they are also called ministers of God. And so this will help them also na hindi tumanggap ng bribery, hindi rin tumingin sa tao, mabeholden sa tao. And this will prevent them from compromise, no? Kung paano ito rin yung effect nun sa mga ministers, no?
Yes, Pas. Napaka-consistent din nung sinabi ni Paul sa Colossians 2 regarding doon sa mga bond servants na wag silang mag-serve na para sa tao, kundi para kay Kristo na magbibigay ng reward sa kanila. So napaka-Dorean ng principle na itinuturo ni Apostle Paul. In fact, napakababang karir yun, o bakasyon yun nung time na yun, pagiging bond servant. Pero bilang alipin, pero ang sinabi ni Paul, magalak kayo doon sa ginagawa nyo. Dahil ultimately, hindi kayo nagseserve para sa tao, kundi para kay Kristo. Na, sabi doon, na magbibigay sa inyo ng reward. So, very applicable po talaga yung principle na ito sa lahat ng aspect ng ating buhay. Sige po, later na lang po natin ituloy. Tayo po'y manalangin. Aming Diyos, maraming salamat po sa example na iniwan ni Apostle Paul. Tunay na ang kanyang pagsunod ay hindi po lampas sa inyo pong mga prinsipol, kundi ito po ay naayon sa inyo pong prinsipyo. Salamat po sa example na ito kung paano namin i-apply, paano kami magsusupport, at paano rin, ano yung motivation namin sa pag-support. Ito po ay nasa konteksto pa rin ng stewardship and co-labor. Nawa, bigyan niyo po kami ng grace na may apply po kung ano man po yung mga graces na in-apply ni Apostle Paul. Bigyan niyo po kami ng ganitong stewardship. At sa lahat po ng aming mapapag-usapan pa ngayong araw na ito, kayo lamang po ang mag-glorify. Ito po ang aming panalangin sa pangalan ni Jesus. Amen.